Okay, hello everyone. So today I am going to be making this dress which I'm wearing right now. It is actually a pattern that I made recently and I put up on my website, so I'll link it down below. It's actually a top pattern and I'm going to be converting it into a dress. It's a super simple way to convert really any top pattern into a dress. As long as the top pattern is sort of loose or something like this where it's gathered and shirred so that the skirt bit will be big enough to go over the hips and sit nicely. So yeah, I'll show you how to convert it into a dress pattern. This pattern has so many different variations. You can do an off the shoulder, you can do two different types of sleeves, you can do lots of different things with it. So that was a pretty exciting pattern for me to write up and create because I wanted it to be a really convertible style. So yeah, I thought I'd also show how to make the dress version, and yeah, keep on watching if you want to see how I did it. Okay, so today I'm going to be making a new pattern that I've released recently, which is called the Stella top. It's a shirred top with puff sleeves. It's got actually a heap of different variations. You can do a puff sleeve, you can do like a loose sleeve, you can do no sleeves, you can do an off shoulder sleeve, you can do a shirred body, you can do a loose body. It's got a heap of different variations, but I'm going to do the shirred version today in this really gorgeous Liberty London fabric that I got from the fabric store. But what I want to do is I want to turn it into a dress. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to work that out. I'm not sure how much fabric I bought because I bought this before I really knew what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to do some sort of summer dress, but I didn't know what type. And because this is shirred, it does take a little bit more fabric because it gathers it in, and same with the sleeves, they're reasonably wide. So I'm going to get these pattern pieces out, lay it out, and see if I have enough fabric to make a dress. I think I will. I just don't know how long I can make the dress. Ideally, I'd like a 3/4 length or full length. I just find them better to wear to work, but we will see. And it would be also extra awesome if I could add pockets into the side seams, but again, I bought this fabric without knowing what I was doing with it, so I might not have enough fabric. But I'm going to take you through my process of how I'm going to lengthen this into a dress. It's really straightforward and simple, and it's a really easy way to lengthen any top pattern you have into a dress. So if you have a top that fits really nicely, that you like the look of, it's really easy to add kind of length to it to make it into a dress. The main thing is that this bit is wide enough to like come over the hips, or if we follow the shape of it, it will come over the hips. If you were doing like a really fitted top, you might not be able to lengthen it in this way because it might not fit over the hips. It'd definitely be worthwhile trialing this, to doing a trial in like a cheap fabric or something to make sure it fits. I'm not going to do that because I only got one day to do this, so yeah, I'm pretty confident that it will fit fine, but it's just the length I'm not sure about. So I'm going to lay this out and see how I go. Okay, so how I'm kind of working out how much length I have is, first thing, I've laid my fabric out, folded in half. So this is just rough, I'm not going to be cutting it in this way, but this is just to help me work it out. So by folding it in half, I know that I'll get 2 of these pieces, which is what I need. So I've kind of worked out the sleeve is going to need pretty much a whole width to itself, and then the strap can kind of sit alongside that. So I need to take at least this much off the length of the fabric I have. And the length of the fabric I have is just over 160 centimeters. So I must have got 1.6. And then these pieces, so they can sit pretty much side by side. The only thing is with these pieces, they kind of come out, and I was hoping to continue that line out. So it's not going to be like a super sharp angle, but it'll still taper out a bit. And the only concern is that that's not going to be possible. So that's a problem. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure how long I need to add, the length I need to add to this. So the elastic placement line on this pattern is at approximately the waist. Actually, it's just a little bit above. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from my waist down how much I want to add in length, and then I'm going to kind of work out whether or not I can maybe cut this piece to a certain point and then add the front piece on and then get the sleeve out of the side if I fold it in a slightly different way. So this is just all the fun of kind of Tetrising pattern pieces together. But yeah, I'm going to measure that to see what I can do. Otherwise I can just cut this straight. I'm fairly certain this length will still fit over my hips because of how the top fits me. It's quite gathered and ruffly. It'll just have more of a straight shape to the dress than something a little bit longer. Or I'm thinking what I might even do is maybe lengthen it a little bit and then at the knee or something add a ruffle. So then it's kind of straight from the waist down, and then at the knee it kind of ruffles out. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough fabric for that either. So pretty much I need to work out how much I want to add to this and then play around with the layout, and I'll get back to you on how I'm going to put it all together once I actually work out how I'm going to put it all together. So I decided against placing one and then the other, just because I felt like yes, I could place a sleeve on the other piece, but then I wouldn't have a good piece to do a ruffle with if I wanted to lengthen it. So I've decided to make this about just above knee length, just based on how much fabric I have. I think that's going to be the best. And then I may decide to add a ruffle to make it below knee length if I try it on and decide that's what I want. But what I've done is I've folded it towards the center, so the two selvages meet in the center there. So we've got a fold on that end and on this end, and then I've placed the back and the front, and I've measured down from the elastic placement line 50 centimeters, so that sits above my knee. I am pretty short, so if you're taller you might want to add more. And what I've done, I don't know if you can see the pins, but I've placed pins as this kind of goes out, and it only just reaches, like I will literally be cutting into the selvage, but that'll be okay because that will be in the seam allowance. And then I've just done a straight line, again that is sitting 50 centimeters away from the waistline. And yeah, so I'm going to cut these out, and then with the remaining fabric, which there is a bit there, I'm going to fold it in half, cut out the sleeve and the like sleeve strap piece, and then I will probably still have a good, like, I reckon 40 centimeters or maybe more to add a ruffle at the bottom if I want. And it won't be a super ruffly, but what I'll do if I do want to add it is just like kind of gather it up and stitch it on just to add that extra length. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these pieces out, and then I'm going to cut the sleeve piece and the sleeve strap piece, and then I'll see how I feel in terms of pockets. If there's room where I cut the sleeves out, I'll definitely add pockets. If there isn't, I might not, because I might want to add a ruffle. So that's probably something I'll leave to the end. I usually do pockets kind of as one of the first steps when I'm doing inseam pockets, but because I don't know if I'm going to be happy with the length of this, I'm going to leave it and see how I feel. Yeah, so I'm going to cut this all out now. Okay, so I managed to get the sleeve pieces out, the 4 pocket pieces, the strap pieces, and also the body pieces. And I've still got a bit of fabric left, enough to add about this big of a ruffle at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it up, and then I'm going to see how I feel, if I need to add a ruffle on the bottom or not. And yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is mark the elastic placement, and then I'm going to draw a line 1.5 centimeters up, all the way up until this elastic placement. This is where it folds down and over, and you can either insert elastic into that or have elastic, just a thin elastic at the top, which creates a more ruffly look. I'm probably going to do the thin elastic. I'm not fully decided on that, but I think I'm going to do the thin elastic for that one. And yeah, I'll do all the shirring on these, and I'll do the same on the front piece. I'm going to put the shirring in, and then I'm going to hold this up on myself and also my mannequin and kind of work out where I want the pocket to sit. I know it'll probably be around the hip, it will probably be around this area. I just want to check once the shirring's in how it kind of hangs, and also the pockets usually I put a little bit further up than I actually want, because once I put a phone in there or anything heavy it will weigh it down quite a bit. So yeah, I'm going to draw all those lines in. I probably won't film it because my camera keeps turning off whenever I film anything for a long period of time, but I'm just going to take my pattern ruler, mark this one in, and then draw up each one. So the pattern ruler I have is really good because, I mean, it's quite dirty, but it's got lines all over it, so I can easily place this, like if I place this on the 1.5 centimeter mark, then I can draw a line here and I know it's exactly 1.5 centimeters away. So I'm going to do that all the way up to that top line. And yeah, I will show you that once I am done. Okay, so this is the front piece, and then underneath I've got the back piece. And I've just marked all the lines with chalk that I'm going to shirr. So I'm just going to go through and put these through the machine and shirr each and every one of these. This is probably the most tedious, longest process of making this, but it's definitely really rewarding once it's done because it looks really nice and it adds a really nice texture and stretch to it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a little sample piece first just to make sure the shirring elastic is at the right tension. I definitely suggest you doing that if you're going to do any sort of shirring on any different fabric or anything, because the tensions do really affect how it gathers up. And yeah, so I'm going to do that and then put the other pieces together. Alright, so I just wanted to show you what the tension should be for the shirring elastic. So this is what the right side of it will look like, and then the shirring goes on the underside in the bobbin. I hand wound my bobbin because I find that gives the best tension. Some people will say you can do it on the machine. I find it pulls it too taut. So I do find hand winding it's best. Probably best to just hand wind on a little bit, see how it goes. Maybe try doing it on your machine a little bit and see how that part of it goes. It does take a little bit of fiddling to get the right settings. I also turn my stitch length up all the way to the largest stitch length, which for me is 5. So what you want it to do is you want it to be able to stretch out to sit flat. So you want it to sit like the normal garment once it's flat, but bounce back into that nice gathered up look. So this first one, the tension was a little bit off on the bobbin and I had to loosen it a little bit. It doesn't quite stretch out to a flat state. It stretches out pretty well and that's probably would have been good enough, but because I want this dress to be able to fit comfortably and be able to stretch out the whole way, by having it so that it can sit flat again, it'll just sit a bit more comfortably. So now that the tension's right, I'll go through and I'll stitch up all the front and back pieces. Okay, so I've just pinned this onto the mannequin to work out where I want the pockets to sit, and I'm thinking about here, like right on the hip. So I'm just going to mark that with a pin and then place the pockets there. Yeah, I'm happy how it's turned out. That will be turned under. So yeah, I'm going to do the pockets and then the side seams as well. I'm going to start on the straps. So I'm going to cut a piece of elastic to be about 1 centimeter shorter than this strip, and then I'm going to just join it at either end, so that is all ready to go. And yeah. Okay, so I've just pinned the pocket onto the front, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch from 1 centimeter in from the pocket all the way down to 1 centimeter in on the other side. And then I'm going to snip in to those points, not snipping into the threads, but enough that I can then turn this out, and then I'm going to edge stitch along this edge, and then I'm going to grab the other pocket piece and stitch that all the way around, and then when I turn that onto the inside of the garment, this pocket will kind of sit at the side seam, and then I'll be able to stitch down when I'm stitching the side seam, I'll stitch down here and then it will kind of catch into the pocket, leaving the pocket bag open, and then catch back onto the garment there for the rest of the length. It's the same way I add the pockets on almost everything. I've taken this pocket piece from the Sammy pant, which was a pattern I released at the same time that I released this top. It's just a really simple pocket shape. Fits hand nicely, fits phone nicely. Yeah, and this is the same construction method for that. It's a really basic way to insert pockets into a side seam. So I'm going to do that on both sides, and I do that on the front of the garment because obviously I want the pockets to swing forward. Okay, so I put the pockets in. They're sitting in there nicely, and I also overlocked the top edge of the front and also the back. And now what I'm going to do is pop these together and stitch down the side seam. I'm going to try to match up, the most important part to match up is this base elastic line, and then also where the seam finishes here at the top. And in between that I'll try to match up all these individual lines. They should match up fairly well because I've placed them all the same distance apart, and that'll just create a nicer look all around the garment because all the lines are going to be following each other. So yeah, I'm going to do the side seam all the way down to the bottom, and then I'll move on to inserting the sleeve. Alright, so I've done the side seams and that's all sewn up. Now what I'm going to do is put the elastic on the front and back. So this edge is going to fold in 2.5 centimeters, and then I'm going to use a narrow elastic. This one's 9mm, but you can even use narrower, like a 6mm. I just can't get any at the moment because it's all sold out for people making masks, which is probably more important use for the elastic. But yeah, so I'm going to stitch that on, and so this will need to be stretched onto the piece. I'm going to measure this against my chest and also against my back, where the garment sits against my chest, so that it feels comfortable. I want it to be taut, like I don't want it to be loose against my chest, but you also don't want it to be so tight that it's going to be cutting in. So if you make it flat against your chest, measure it so it's flat, and then just stretch it just a tiny bit, that's probably the perfect amount, and then use that to evenly stretch on to the top here, and then also the back as well. So I'm going to do that, and then I can finally move on to the sleeves. Okay, so I've attached that elastic along the top and then also on the back, and now I'm just going to attach the strap piece. So I'm going to stitch it along in line with the elastic, so it will just cover the elastic. I'm going to stitch it along there and then up the side as well, and that'll secure it in place. And I'm going to do that on both sides and on the back as well, and then that'll create a armhole for the sleeve to be inserted. So I'm also going to stitch the side seam of the sleeve. So I'm going to fold it in half with right sides together and just stitch up there. And then I'm also going to gather along this top edge, gather that down so that it will fit into the armhole better. And yeah, so I'm going to do those steps, the attaching the strap, doing the sleeve side seam, gathering the sleeve, and then inserting the sleeve, and then I'll show you how I'm going to finish this hem, and then I'll try it on and see if I want to add the ruffle at the bottom or just hem it normally. Okay, so I've got it all together. The sleeves are in, everything is together. So this is the length it's at right now. And I've got the shirred body, the puff sleeves. Now what I was planning on doing was doing the puff sleeve option with the gathers at the bottom, which kind of like gather it up a little bit like that. But I'm thinking I might leave it straight, and then also leave the skirt straight, and I think that probably will work. Yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out. So as you can see, it's quite an easy shape to turn into a dress because it's just following that shape that's already there and lengthening it. Yeah, if if you wanted to do this with a larger size, so I made this in a small, if you wanted to do it with a larger size, you're going to need probably double the length that you want to make the dress, rather than one length. And if you want to make it in a small, then it's going to be cut right to the edge of the fabric, and that's only if the fabric is 140 or 150 wide. So yeah, that's good to note. So if you wanted to make this in a narrower fabric or in a larger size, I'd get double the length of the dress that you want to make. But yeah, I'm very happy with how this has turned out. I'm going to hem the bottom and hem the sleeves. All I'm going to do for that is just turn it up 1 centimeter. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave the ruffle off the bottom. I might pin it on and see how I feel. I'm still a little undecided, but I think this is a nice little summer dress, and it's a really nice kind of spring day here, so I might actually even wear it out for a walk, because I'm not allowed outside for more than 2 hours, but I'll wear it out for a walk for my 2-hour walk. Alright, so it's all done. I'm very happy with how this turned out. You may notice that in the tech drawing for the pattern, the sleeve sits a little bit more flowy when it's not puffed. That's because that one was originally made from a viscose, so it's a little bit softer and it does have that drape. This is made from a cotton lawn, so it does hold its shape a little bit more, which is why it has that more kind of straight shape at the hem. But I'm still very happy with how it turned out, and I personally really like the look of it. And yeah, I decided not to add the ruffle at the hem. I just thought it would be a bit too much. I will include some footage of me wearing it now so you can kind of see what it looks like on. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. I really love this pattern because it gives a good shape, but it's still really comfy to wear. I find a lot of fitted dresses or fitted tops like get quite uncomfortable, but because this is shirred, it's still elasticated, so you know you can move and breathe and all of that in it, which for me is perfect for spring and summer. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think I forgot to say this fabric was from the Fabric Store. It is a Liberty London print, and yeah, I'll include the link for the pattern down below. I actually released 4 patterns recently, which I'm really excited about. They're all kind of summer related, but obviously they can be converted for winter as well. There's a pant pattern in there which I've made a couple of times and I absolutely love it, and it's one that has a longer version as well as a 3/4 version, so you can make it for summer or winter or wherever you like. And yeah, I'm really enjoying making these videos. I'm hoping I can make more regularly, but I'm very busy, so I find it hard. But if you do want to see more stuff that I'm making or more stuff that I'm putting out, then follow me on Instagram, because I'm far more frequently over there, and I often put polls up with things like which button should I choose, or like if I should add a ruffle to a dress or something like that. So if you're interested in any of that, follow that. I'll link it down below. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye!